Everybody romanticizes the farm till the husband doesn't come home at 10 o'clock. We've lost more than one date to cattle being out, and we've only had 4 or 5 in the 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
I feel like farming can be pretty isolating. You don't have to leave your farm, but as a full-on retail store, you have to be a part of the community.
I talk about cattle all day long, but what she gives in our marriage, especially having a special needs son, is something that I can't comprehend. Sorry. We partner in a different way. You know, some people, their wives come out and help and work and do those things, but Lauren is doing everything else that makes this possible every day. There is nothing that I do that she's not tied to. There's not a choice that I make that I don't think about her or the kids or what we need to do. And that's why we have this. I always worked hard prior to being married because I knew that was a responsibility that a man should have. But now I have a why. And now I understand why. So even more so, if I'm pushing 60, 70 hours, I know why I'm doing it. Before I would do it, and then that was hard. Now doing it is not a problem. She's home taking care of everything. I don't have to worry if the kids need picked up. I don't have to worry. She takes care. Now, when she needs help, she asks me, and I'll come home, do whatever I need to do that. But we have the freedom in being self-employed to make the caveats for our kids and family that we needed to have.
If something, needs money, he figures out a way to make the money. It's awesome that he's given us a life where I don't have to worry.
A few years into our marriage, I began to think a lot about the word alignment. I came to realize that I truly needed every part of my life to align with my principles. One of those being, don't only do what's convenient, do what really matters. People think because I do several things that it pulls me in too many directions. Now, it can be difficult to navigate and a struggle, but that's what actually makes it meaningful. I do like overcoming the challenges, and especially because of the purpose behind them. Whether it's being on the farm with the cattle, or working with guys at the store, the processing plant, or leading groups at our sober living homes, I do want to have a life of purpose and service to others. I want to help and provide for them as best as I can with what I have to offer in the ways that only I've been built to do. If I get to do that every day, to be of use in my community and bless those closest to me through my work, well, for me, that's a pretty good way to get to live out this life.
Having the time to be with my kids and watch them play and be little, that's the blessing. 8, 6, 5, and 2, that's a short window of time. And right now, magic is still in their life. I don't put the pressures of my life on my children. That's a goal that I try to live out. That daddy is fun, that daddy is, wants to be around, but daddy's still daddy. To have the time out here, they love the side-by-side, they love their four-wheeler, they like to ride around, and they just love any time they're with me. So whatever we're doing is fun.
Those moments are priceless. If he hadn't decided to do our own thing and open Line Hill Meats as a pure farm to table, those moments wouldn't be there. And I think they drive him, and it drives me. I know Ben carries a lot of stress that he doesn't bring home to us. There are very hard days, whether it's the cattle or the processing plant or even at the store. But he pulls in the driveway, he calms himself, he comes in, and he gets, "Daddy!"
If I have a brick on the side of our house that I touch and pray for, go inside. If I've got to leave whatever I did today here, I'm going to go in, I'm going to be their dad, and I'll pick all this up tomorrow.
He's really learned how to tap into emotion. Mr. Tough Guy, Cowboy Guy is, playing princess games and watching little ballet shows during dinner, and he loves those girls. He'll do anything for them. You can tell that they have a very, very special connection. He's a great girl dad. My job is to take care of the kids, and especially with Corbin, it has me on the road every single day. We don't get down to the farm as much. So Ben has a great team in place that help him with all of the cattle work and, the processing and all of that. But my job is to connect to the customer, get to the store, take the content for social media, promote our products and answer any questions and be kind of the customer service PR branch while working with our girls, homeschooling them, getting Corbin to the autism clinic, those type of things. I know that Ben appreciates the work that's being done at home so that he can go out and grow this business and branch it out to where he is bringing in the community, bringing in people who have a great skill set, giving them a livelihood, and, just caring for people through having jobs for them. I'm proud and glad to help him on that journey of helping other people through beef as the foundation. Ben's brain is constantly thinking about the next step and being innovative and where is this industry going so that I can pull us along and get us ahead of the curve. He always comes home with some brand new idea. He'll find some article about some new technology and want to implement it immediately. And I love that about him. I know at this point in our marriage that he's not going to come with an idea that he hasn't thought through or researched. If he says, I think we should do it, okay, that's my response, because I know it's not just some willy-nilly money dump that we're not going to get back. He's got a business plan for everything that he does.
So we do intend to kind of focus it on weddings, but also professional events. Since Nashville's had so much growth, a lot of the corporations being able to come down to the farm and do things. We've been thinking about doing wine and shooting events and letting people come in as part of their family. Husbands do this, wives do this if you want to, and using the whole property for that. Weddings, again, it's becoming away from churches and giving a ranch space there. And also, I want to share my faith in that, in the wedding and things that are theirs, to have them and have the event space and be used for that. Also, we can use it for the rehab homes to do galas and fundraisers for the rehab homes to have people come in. And then lastly, we'll have a VIP club for our meat business to where they can come down and have different events hosted for them specifically too. It's kind of bringing in the ecosystem to bring people together, which is our goal. And that's the hard part with debt management and things like that. There is a stress to that I don't think a lot of people comprehend. I think now the average farmer carries $600,000 in debt. The stress that brings into homes and relationships and families can be daunting for a lot of people. So you forget to be thankful for what it has provided and can provide, because you're constantly dealing with the next thing to make sure that it's taken care of.
In the farming and meat cutting business, you oftentimes employ people that will have a somewhat checkered past. After coming back home, I saw firsthand the issues that addiction had brought into our community.
Close friends in high school got on drugs and didn't live up to their potential.
Part of our business mission is to always improve the community and the lives of those where we operate. Its focus is on the next step for those that get out of rehab or a detox center. What my experience has seen is that many of those facilities focus on the biological portion of a drug addiction, but oftentimes don't offer counseling or have the time frame to help people in the decision-making process, and specifically the identity of the person that goes along with it.
I actually taught finance, budgeting, things like that for the people as they were about to get out. How do you get a house loan? How do you get insurance? Why should you have insurance? And those type of things. And then being with them, developing a heart for them. These people generally realize they have a need and they want to change their life. I ended up having a quadplex with some local apartments there that were open. And through one of my customers at the butcher shop, there's another sober living house that was already full. They had 47 beds and 8 guys on couches that they were trying to get people in.
We just got on a general conversation after coming in here week after week after week, a little bit more about him and what he was doing. The Lord put it on his heart to buy some homes to do the similar thing, but he was running into different obstacles, and so we just naturally started talking about it, and he actually had some of his employees hired from the ministry, which is amazing.
I thought that, me coming out of prison, people would be, second guess on me getting a job and everything, but really they haven't.
I remember the day Kane got out of prison, the corrections officer actually said a prayer for him before he left, which really surprised me. But I've watched Kane grow, walk through fear, establish a job, move in the right direction, and it's awesome.
One of the reasons we believe work is necessary in our program is it actually improves the relationships for everyone there. Of course, there are some difficulties with it, but blue-collar men don't do well gathering in a circle and holding hands. So I try to have them involved with me on different projects, whether that's fixing fence or meat cutting or putting up tents for an event.
If I need fence rows cleaned or we need some mowing done, then we'll go get the guys. They've helped me build a deck on another property.
When we work together, we build trust and get to know each other more. Knowing and trusting each other improves our communication, which also helps them be more receptive to teaching and the goals we're trying to accomplish.
I've learned more from the GWP guys, trying to serve them and finding out that they're serving my heart more than I could ever serve them.
My job, I feel like, is to market his ideas. So whatever it is, whether it's the wedding venue or sober living or the butcher shop, my job is to make it publicized and out there and promote it and show, all of his good ideas. I'm really appreciative of the growth he's had in the last 10 years of understanding that marketing works and marketing's important. And I think a lot of other cattle producers could do a lot bigger business if they utilize the tools that we're given. I work from home. I work from home with the butcher shop and for the Tennessee Cattlemen. So both are part-time essentially, but part-time being whenever I can. Ben is a very analytical-minded person. He's big into numbers, big into systems, but he has spent quite a few years now trying to understand people better. If he doesn't understand something, he researches it. He's always encouraged me to do whatever makes me happy, and he, thinks highly of my work, which is awesome because as an artist, you criticize yourself a lot, and we need to use the gifts that we've been given. I think the life we built is something that we both really enjoy. He goes out most of the day and comes home and he can be in a loving environment because we're all happy. The biggest thing that I found in our marketing that resonates with the customer is our family. They want to support our family. They love our girls being involved. A lot of them have similar situations to Corbin with autism or special needs, so they want to support us that way. I don't necessarily always try to market that it's, the family, but more so family plus X, Y, and Z.
Let this meal just be blessed. Amen. Thank you.
Our faith is important because it teaches you to love people. And while we have a product that we raise and sell and people come and buy, it's more about connecting with the people. When Ben goes to the store, yes, he can talk to them about the cattle and the beef, but he can also talk to them about faith or their special needs and that sort of thing. So I think, again, it just kind of reinforces that you can be comfortable in one setting, but to push yourself and to really get into people's lives, that's what's important. And so that's what we are starting to really get into with the wedding venue, the sober living, the autism community, to really just try and be a light in people's lives.
Got married in 2014. We had a small farm at the time, but then in 2016, my son was diagnosed with autism, which really changed a lot of our trajectory in what we were doing. We got his diagnosis, we didn't even know what that meant. You didn't really know how your life was going to change.
Ben is trying to do the best that he can to help Corbin thrive.
We had some hard nights during that time. He had a lot of stomach issues, belly pains. We would be up a lot driving him through the night just to be able to get him to rest. In trying to look at that and those behaviors, we ended up finding out that a lot of that was dietary. It helped with some of his stimming, or what they call stimulatory actions, the hand flapping, toe walking and stuff. If we could help the gut health not have a strain or a stress, then he would calm down, and then we could do some of the ABA therapies and some of the things that he needed to be able to get back going. My specialty in the nutrition companies was pre and probiotics. What we were trying to do was incorporate that into our own diet. And it was when we chose to make the difference with Corbin's diet, I wanted to eat what he was going to eat for 6 weeks. So we changed the diet for me first. He's nonverbal, so he wouldn't be able to tell us anything of what it was doing. I felt so much better from changing my own diet that it finally clicked. So then as we started transitioning that led to low preservatives, cleaner foods.
He woke up. He became a new kid. We got eye contact back. We got babbling back. We got interaction back. While we had a son who was in his own little world, his diet brought him back to us. With that, we started eating better. We don't buy a whole lot of processed foods. We don't go out to eat that much because can't with all the kids. I cook a lot of our food at home, and it's mostly our own beef. Try to buy foods that aren't processed. Try to cut out all the dyes, the red 40s and that sort of thing. I think we've seen that with Corbin of he's not in pain. He was screaming and writhing in pain. 3 a.m. would just be unconsolable. And now he's happy and smiley, and there are ups and downs, of course, but his health was the driving factor of getting good quality beef on the plate for him.
Bye, girl. Bye. See you, buddy. Come here.
My day consists of getting Corbin to where he needs to be. Whether that is school or the clinic, we spend a lot of time in the car. It's hard on my back. It's hard on our young girls, but they're used to it. I'm used to it. It gives me time to listen to my music or a podcast or think about the things that I need to get done. I drop him off in a place where I know he's being worked with. I know he's being taken care of. Chris and the ABA therapy has been the greatest thing we could ever have given Corbin. Chris is with him 30 hours a week. We had a perfect pairing with a therapist, and that's rare. They are best buds. He's done wonders for Corbin and is learning not only life skills, but also he can tell you numbers, letters, words. Just the other day, Chris was saying that they were working on feelings. He was saying correctly, which is a happy face and a sad face. These are things that I never thought we'd be able to get out of him. So, is the traveling hard? Yes. But in the long run, is it good for Corbin? Yes.
A couple years ago, we were looking to try to find other ways to have Corbin have friends and meet people, and we were looking for a community that had a special needs ball league. And where we were at, it had not a lot of those options, so they were trying to get more teams sponsored. And I told him I'd help any way that I could, and we sponsored the team. But then when we came there for shirt pickup day, Dan, the man that's over it, he said, "Hey, Coach." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, your wife said you'd help." I said, "Well, I intended that." And he said, "Well, good." He said, "We needed a coach." He said, "So you're going to be coaching too." It was kind of overwhelming at first. That year we had a 3-year-old blind child that played. We had other autistic kids. We have some with Downs. It's frustrating right at the beginning of the season, and nobody really knows how or what's expected. And by the end of the season, you start seeing them be able to know to come up to ball and know what they're doing and catching the ball. Good job, buddy. One of the amazing things, too, that program does is they have a buddy. So they have the fire department. They have high school ball leagues come in, and they all come and play with the kids on each Sunday afternoon. Seeing these other kids and family come apart, that's what makes it so special, is that everybody's coming around these kids and giving them a chance to have a typical ball game. The thing that's the neatest about it is when the community comes together. If a child nicks a ball, it's like a grand slam at the World Series. The crowd stand up on both sides, and it's a special time. It's one of those things when you get a diagnosis, you don't know what life's going to look like. And it looks different, but it's still good, so it's different than what you thought with the ball leagues. But again, from the openness of the other parents and families and things you get to be involved with, it brings you to a point of being understanding or understood that you didn't have without doing it.
I feel extremely lucky to have Ben not only be a dad and a father to Corbin, but be his biggest advocate. Having a son with special needs has made it to where we initially thought we weren't able to do anything. A lot of stuff inside the home, like watch a family movie or play a board game, that stuff all kind of went away. And our focus became on helping him and his immediate needs. When we first got the diagnosis of autism, Ben being Ben, He researched it heavily. Autism has a lot of gray areas. We don't know what causes it. We don't know how to deal with it. And so he did his best to try and figure out what's best for Corbin. What works for Corbin may not work for other kids. Corbin has made strides with Ben's research and Ben's guidance and Ben's pushing that I'm so thankful for, because you can see the work that's being done in him. It brings tears to our eyes knowing that, this little man is smart and we just need to give him the tools to help him communicate. The running and going, that's what motivates Ben to do what he does. We can see the progress in Corbin, and that's what helps motivate that.
I don't own it, so I'm a caretaker of it. That's what I try to know and remember each time, is the way the land looks, how we take care of it. It's for the next generation. It's for the owners that currently have it, for them to come from their areas, wherever they live at, and make sure that their property is well taken care of. I've had this lease now for a decade. Our business wouldn't exist without the opportunity of this lease. So again, it's not something that was in my family that I was owed. It is something that through relationships, the business that I had done on marketing the cattle and things like that I came to know that it was available. And we're gonna be an 80% red Angus herd. For me, it's opinion. I do think they take the heat a little bit better in Tennessee. We got a lot of heat and humidity. They do tend to stay out grazing a little bit longer. But also as a breeding guy, I actually like the red Angus because red being a non-dominant gene, it's harder to cover up multiple breeds inside of a red cow. So you can actually know they breed a little bit truer when you're breeding, get more consistency in the calf crops. Our bulls are red Angus bulls, and we use Hereford bulls, and then some Fleck V or Simmental bulls. I love the science side of what we do. Keep the cattle natural, and that's even, getting into that with these grasses, how we maintain the pastures and things. And also for the land, it's a short-sighted vision if you're going to try to just pull all the nutrients out. One of the things that we do, because we don't run the fertilize, I buy all the hay. So it's a roundabout way, but when I purchase hay that's been fertilized, that fertilized hay comes into my cow. My cow then walks it out, puts it on the pasture. I drag the pastures. Now I have fertilizer without utilizing that resource myself. So it's finding the ways to continue to nourish the ground when we bring cows in for calving season. We actually put them into one spot, so then the manure and feed in that spot is the fertilizer. So then we drag those out after calving season, and then that gives a good nutrient spot for the next year when they're going to be back calving again. I think a lot of times people think that you're either going to be an animal person or a numbers person. And sometimes they think that being numbers, you take less care of the animals, and that's not true either. You watch them, you see the way they interact. So it's working alongside of the animals to know what they're doing and then what they need. The animal is our means to production. If you abuse your means of production, you're not going to have production. Fat cow's a happy cow, and a happy cow's a producing cow. That mentality has always stuck with me too, on how do we keep the animals healthy, how do we keep them moving, how do we keep them lactating well. If you remove those stressors, they're going to do their job. I'm a big view guy, so I like to be able to see the area and see what it's over. I grew up working for older men that had cattle, and there were some of them that used to come out and get their bourbon at night and sit wherever their calves were and just watch the sun go down and sit with the cattle. And that's some of the most peaceful times. Sit and just watch them and interact with them a little bit. It connects you back to what we do. I've tried to do better the last few years with taking some time, even if I block a couple hours off, to go sit in with the cattle, because that's the part that I enjoy the most. It's the part that feeds me the most, but it's not the part that runs the business. It'll actually make me tear up a little bit to think of the difference in 10 years. But on the other hand, if you're not watching for the next thing, it may not be there. Small scale does not mean more efficient. There is a higher cost to only doing 1,500 head in a year, not 1,500 head in a day. Right now, we're at an all-time high in the beef industry. I only opened my store 2 years ago. I actually make less money on bringing my own cattle in. 5 years from now, that'll be a different story. Part of what we're doing is taking more control of our market. There's a balance between
high quality, fresh products and having enough for the masses. We do have more loss because we cut out every morning what we need for our store. We make sausages in the morning times. We don't use some MSG preservatives and things like that in them, but they're going to go bad faster. Capital requirements for one family to buy a meat processing plant and a retail store is not as efficient usage as it is for a large place or a large box store. There's different dynamics economically with it, but much more interest from the customers, which is where our business came from.
It's humbling to be part of the whole cycle. You know, I take care of it, I do raise it, I bring it in. We're very small. Everything is known, whether I'm doing it custom for someone else and they're taking that product home, or whether we're selling it in our store. One of the reasons that I have a store is I'm 100% accountable. I voluntarily have our plant under video audit all the time. I'm a certified humane handling animal certification expert. My front office staff is as well, so that she knows our paperwork is done. And anyone that is on management on the processing floor is, and each one of those people go through training with that certification company prior to them being able to slaughter. In addition to that, while we do federal slaughter, we have USDA inspector there that watches the animals unload. They watches the way we pin them. We have sheets that we sign off on for water and the way they're handled, any equipment we use to handle them, and they're there for the slaughter process and to check the carcass at the end of that. We're not always under federal inspection, but I say it's very hard to train people two ways. So we do everything all the time as if we are under inspection. We keep our own state and custom records the same way. When I bought the company, they handed me a spiral notebook, said these are all the customers. That was the records. They literally would keep that customer's order and they would have it on the right-hand side of how they wanted it cut in a split sheet on a small, not even a large, spiral notebook. When a customer dropped off, they'd say, you want the same slot next year. And then they had that recurring business. That's how they operated.
Lauren laughs about when we got married and dating, I was actually talking about buying a processing plant. She said, I don't know how many people have a dream of owning a processing plant, but I actually wanted to.
I never thought I'd be a processing plant owner. Anybody can open a butcher shop, anybody could raise a calf, but he's doing the entire supply chain. And I think that's the important part too. It is a very needed service for that local community, but also, you know, a place where people can bring their animals and know that they're going to be handled correctly and they're going to be processed well, and then they're going to take home a really great product.
I try to tell all my young guys I train, if you'll be the best 80% of butchers in the world, you'll stand before a king. If you are in the top niche, then you're going to do well in life, no matter what your occupation is.
I am the head butcher here at Light Hill Meats. I am in charge of anything from bringing the animals in to anything that happens on the cut floor. A butcher typically will know how to take a live animal, process a live animal, and turn it into any kind of cut that you need. So I got out of high school and I went into the Marine Corps. Really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I had met my high school sweetheart. She went to the Marine Corps a year after I did. So we do our enlistment. I get out before she does, and I'm looking for work. I was really looking for a strong fit because I wanted to find somewhere where I felt like I belonged. I felt like the work, what I did mattered, and I could stay there and serve people of my community. So I went to Publix, and the meat manager was a very old butcher. He'd worked in slaughterhouses, he'd worked in all sorts of stuff, and he talked me into it. Light Hill Meats opened up while I was still a meat cutter. I tried really hard to get in. I tried a couple different times to get a job with them. I finally got an application through with Ben. Ben interviewed me. He heard about my Marine Corps experience and stuff, and he thought that my work ethic would be a good fit. He took me for a farm tour, toured me around the farms, and we showed up here. I'd never been in a slaughterhouse or processing plant before. Didn't walk me through the front door, he walked me through the back door. First thing, you know, he wanted to, you know, if I was going to stick through it, he wanted me to see, you know, how hard it could be before I decided. I prayed a lot about where I would end up. A couple people got let go, and basically I had 1 week. Ben said, I have to pull you down here, and you have 1 week to learn how to break the cattle down. And I was like, okay, this is my opportunity. I'll do it. So it wasn't perfect, but I learned how to do it in 1 week. I'm very passionate about people getting really good products. I think that knowing where your food comes from, having a good source of food is very important. Builds community, ensures the quality of the product, ensures sanitation. I love my country. Obviously, I serve my country. And I am so happy to be able to provide people with quality meat that comes from where they live. I really appreciate our ranchers and farmers for the work that they put in. My other passion that I think goes well with especially this situation is leading people. I love seeing people grow because I like seeing that in myself. I like seeing how hard something could be to learn and to see myself follow through with learning it. You have trolleys that are hanging up. You have to make sure you don't get bonked in the head with one of those and knock yourself out. I put my hard hat on. I bring in the half, I break it down, I take it on the saw, and I pass the pieces off. I always try to split the work that I can't do all by myself. And that's what really builds a team, is by describing to people how we're going to get this mission accomplished, what work needs to get done, who's going to do what work, how are we all going to get it done together. Cutting room, you can sanitize the day before everything has to air dry. We clean twice. We clean after we're done, and we clean before we start. And no contamination whatsoever is allowed into our hanging coolers. That's the first step. You have to sanitize your knives at all times. You have to spray off your hands at all times. It has to stay clean. Everybody has to keep their aprons clean, their knives clean. It has to be sanitized. And when they go into the cooler, there is no contamination.
The other thing that we do is going into the process inside is dry aging. Dry aging is something that's moved out of our industry as a knowledge for most part. By allowing the natural enzymes to break down the meat fibers, you end up with a different flavor profile and a much more tender product. So it's slowing down the process.
You can have beef hanging up and they're gonna be encapsulated by like the dry outer coating, the fat and the bones and stuff. And the meat is just continuously, it's almost breaking down. Is what's happening. It's breaking down and moisture is drawn out and it really concentrates the flavor of the beef. Right at that 21 to 30 days, it makes it more tender because the meat is breaking down more. It increases the flavor because the moisture is being drawn out and you get nutty, cheesy undertones. In my opinion, it's the most amazing thing. I mean, I love it so much. Now, I like all kinds of meat. I like lean meats. I like nice and fatty meats. I like it all. For me, fat is flavor. So we get a beef that's got like a nice 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch of back fat on there. And then when you crack it open, you can see what the marbling is going to be like. You know it's going to be good.
This weekend we're going to do T-bones and porterhouses. Those are always a good seller. And then we're gonna debut a tomato basil sausage. So we do a lot of retail, a little bit of production. We do anything from bacon to snack sticks to jerky. And most of our customer base up here is gonna be normal families getting high quality meat around here. They are looking for something a little different, a little more high quality. So they are very happy, a little overwhelmed sometimes because we do have a lot of variety of cuts. So they can try new stuff. We have anything from Wagyu beef to our local beef. A lot of it's going to be based on what they're cooking. We have the experience, we have the knowledge, we're able to help with what cut is going to be best, what kind of meat's going to be best. So it's a fun diversity in our customers. Local meat is going to be very high quality. You're also not just supporting that farmer or rancher, you're supporting the processor, you're supporting the person that's selling the meat, the person that's cutting the meat. So there's a lot of in-depth things other than just supporting the farmer. We do dry aging in-house, so we have a Himalayan salt block wall to help pull excess moisture. The aging process just helps with your tenderness, your flavor. You get a lot of different, more robust flavors. You're gonna get a nuttiness, an earthiness. It's a very different experience from what some people are used to.
That's not my name. No, you forgot the E goes in the front.
That's chaotic sometimes. They are little girls running around, but it is fun.
We make meat. Yes, we make meat. We mix things. Yes, we mix things again. We make hamburger and sausages. Yeah.
It's fun to have them come in and help us out, and the customers love it.
I can see for the next 10 years our girls being highly involved in whatever we're doing. I think that Ben is going to teach them very marketable skills We go to the store. While I get content for social media, they're now working the checkout. Or they're grabbing their gloves so that they can help with prepping the meat and putting the meat out on the trays, and then comes home at night and they get to tell him how they helped out the store. They like to feel involved because, you know, they're proud of their work.
How can I make it not to where they're without? How do we grow the business? Cattle only offer what cattle offer. Meat processing offers another part. Wedding venues offer another part. So if wedding season's up, meat business may be down. How do we do that to keep cash flow in? When I hire an employee, I take that responsibility very seriously. I say it is taking them into my family because I have to provide for their family. I'm trying to make sure that we always have the revenue coming in from different facets. Trying to grow into those things that make it to where they don't have to sacrifice for my dream.
Yeah.
I like going on the side-by-side. Also, I like to feed the cows on the new farm with Daddy. We just have to sit and quiet because the cows don't like loud noises.
I'm not going to force it on them. I do know some people want to live vicariously through their children. They don't get to be at their full potential if they're living out what I want. I bought rental properties so that my son will have an income in case something happens to me. I want to have, you know, the ability to help my girls have a down payment on a house. Housing is getting very hard and difficult. I'll direct them based on their skills, but I'm not going to make them do what I choose to do.
If they want to take over, that's great, and he'll help them. If they want to open a boutique, then he'll help them with that. It was really hard for him with the autism diagnosis because he did have it in his mind that Corbin was going to be, you know, this little country boy and he was going to take over the farm. I think he needed time to process that. That's not to say that Corbin won't be a farmer. He may be a farmer. He doesn't put pressure on the kids to be in agriculture. And I think that that's really neat because I think if anything, he's going to give them a background of how to be successful in whatever they do. They could be entrepreneurs. They could be just a stay-at-home mom, but with a side hustle. All of that is possible in the foundation of what he's doing.
As first generation, I don't feel like I'm building a legacy like some people have or what they feel to. Looking at it as a business, if I can't make it a good business for them to come back and be involved in, I want them to come in, if they do, eyes wide open, buy in, know what they're getting. So if they want to do that, that's great. If not, my goal is to make them good humans so that they can go out and have a good life. That's perfectly acceptable to me. So.